So good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Marcus Holman. I'm the sales director for Diamir, and I will be the moderator for this webinar. So start off with some housekeeping rules. This webinar is being recorded, and you will get a copy of the webinar as from an email after the webinar. You may you're very welcome to ask questions in the Q&A box, which you find down in the bar. We will answer them later in the meeting. So, looking at the agenda for today, and also the keynote holders, we will have Morten Bogdahl from Episerver, who will speak. We have Danny Overberger, PIM champion. We have Peter Nolander, who's also a PIM champion. And also Søren Østrup, who is a partner for the Danish company FMCG Solutions. Looking at the agenda, this is what we will talk about today. And to give you some expectations and understanding what we will walk through is, during this upcoming hour, we will focus on your product story throughout the channels. Digital first is now a motion that is just up for certain companies. It's no secret that B2B selling been disrupted, making manufacturers and distributors within the FMCG and food industry active in new channels for communication, brand building, and sales. But how do you adapt to new way of interacting with your target audience? Putting the brand experience first in an ever more digital world, while also making sure to keep a consistent product story through the whole supply chain. On one side, the important marketing window towards your consumers and their interest to your products, which is getting more demanding and experienced and expects more than we can deliver. From traceability, nutrients, allergens, to recipes, inspiration, and background of your products. This in a world where we don't only work in one channel or in one language, but in multi-channels and regional specific information. So no wonder it feels that we always are one step behind. On the other side of the coin, there is the regulatory demands of the product information, bound by a law that we have to fulfill. Country-specific data pools that has to be updated with information. This is the backbone of your product, and companies spend endless of hours copy-pasting in different formats due to the different needs in different data pools. So welcome to this webinar, in which we, in collaboration with FMCG Solutions, Optimizely, and inRiver, will try to straighten this out for you. So to start off with a short intro of us, Diamir Consulting. We are a Swedish-based company with the headquarters in Malmö. We actually are one of very few who has two PIM inRiver champions. We have about 40 customers today. We employ a little bit more than 20 people. And I always say that we have more than 300 years of experience, but that is because we are quite senior in what we are doing. We are a inRiver Platinum partner. We are gold partners to Epi, or Optimizely as they're called now, and Aptus. Looking a little bit on the customers that we work with, to give you an understanding of the wideness. And as you can see, we are very focused within the food and beverage industry, but also in different aspects. So working with customers from within the car industry to food and beverage, we are really helping them out, and has done several cases, both from inRiver PIM perspective, of course, also from an Epi perspective. So with this said, I would like to introduce Morten from Epi to take on the next part of this show. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that introduction, Marcus. My name is Morten Bogdahl. I'm the marketing manager at Episerver. We are a digital experience platform, but we didn't used to be a digital experience platform. Only 10 years ago, we were a content management system, or a web content management system. We added commerce to that. We took the platform up to the cloud. We've been then acquiring both functionalities and other companies like customer data platforms, personalization, and now one of our last acquisitions was Optimizely, an experimentation platform. And we will also actually be moving into the name Optimizely this year. That's where you're going to see the two logos. But why are we actually doing this? Why are we investing so much in new type of technologies? It's actually because we see that we need to. A good customer experience is key to success today. And when that customer experience is becoming more and more digital, when the interactions are becoming of a higher extent digital, it means that you have to add new technologies and also new processes to create that experience for your customers. And one thing we've been seeing in 2020 is, of course, that has accelerated. And we also see that these kind of behaviors that has changed now is going to change also in the future. What do we actually mean by, like the consumer behaviors going forward? So during a study from Ernst & Young, of course, we haven't been traveling as much, and we changed a lot of things in our social life. But when it looks at shopping, we could see that the way we shop has been, changing. And what we mean with that is definitely that once you cannot always go to the physical stores, e-commerce has become more and more important. And the products I buy, what has been changing that? It's usually not the television that we might be buying from time to time, or the sofa, but it's actually where the biggest change is from the day-to-day groceries and also like things like medication that we now also started to consume online. A little bit of how that has impacted companies is a customer of ours, Coop, who had commerce in Norway, but they didn't have that last mile delivery. So when people didn't want to go to the stores, or when people couldn't go to the stores, they also saw the need to quite quickly adapt to this, in which they, in only about 2 weeks, managed to also have that last mile delivery to be able to serve their customers directly to their door. So that was like one of the impacts that it had, like a direct impact from the pandemic. But going back to looking at what do we actually see in these kind of accelerating pre-existing shifts in consumer behaviors that will be lasting? One thing is, of course, that e-commerce has been showing us that I want what I want, and I want it when I want it. So more and more people, even in older age groups, are using e-commerce now as in a daily basis. This also opens up to new possibilities. We don't always have to rely on the brands that we can buy from the local stores, but we can now get brands from not just the regional or the countries next to you, but more or less we are close to the hands of being able to buy anything from all around the world. But another thing we've also been looking at is how conscious we are now in buying things, that sustainability and health. So the combination between that we have a wide variety of products, we want to be able to consume that both in research but also in transaction the way that we want to, and also looking at companies to make sure that they are sustainable is putting new type of pressures also on the companies. So one of those impacts is, of course, fulfillment. Might have started just being selling from brick and mortar, starting with e-commerce, but it's not just e-commerce to the door. We now expect to be able to buy online and pick up in store, or the new thing that started during the pandemic is actually curbside pickup, which is buy online and pick up outside the stores. So new ways to more or less deliver the goods to your customers. But we also see that we need to meet the customers in more channels. So in FMCG, you're usually selling it directly B2C, but the people that are actually using it is the consumers. Now we see that you have to have a direct dialogue with the consumer, you have to have a direct dialogue with your retailers, and you also have to be able to provide that communication both in the offline and online channels. And lastly is when we see that there's so many products to choose from, you have to more or less go from selling products to selling outcomes. People don't buy shoes just to buy shoes. They might be buying shoes because they want to run, because they want to, be more healthy, because they want to spend more time with the kids. So it's more about focusing on the outcomes. We're going to go through a little bit of an example about that. So this is actually my fridge. This is my fridge taken from a week ago. I know there's a lot of beers. I'm not going to say it because I'm drinking a lot of beers or that I'm actually not drinking beers at all. But what do you actually need to do to get inside my fridge? I've been looking at myself to see what kind of behaviors do I do when I pick different brands. Some of them are conscious. It means that I'm looking at healthy and sustainable, eco-friendly products. They're very conscious, and it could be because of my diet as well. Some of them could be from nostalgia. So you see Santa Maria here from Tex-Mex. I would probably put them in, I had that since I was a kid. I'm not choosing any other products. But I do also look at price sometimes. When I want to buy a can of corn or similar, and there's like 3 for 1, those kind of deals I also do. Then there's the ones they're not a nostalgia, but I do have a habit of buying them anyway. I'm not sure why I'm doing it because I'm just used to doing it. So it's a habit. But then we also have convenience. So except of actually looking at taste, that I like a certain type of use, or I actually am conscious about that brand because I know a lot about that brand, there's a lot of things that can actually kick you out from my fridge or actually kick you into my fridge. And there's a lot of different products we can choose from. So just looking at dairy products, when I grew up, there was only one brand you can choose from. Now you have 3 or 4 different brands, and those brands have different kind of variations. And you also have substitutes. So instead of milk, you can also have oat milk and etc. So there's a big variety that you can actually choose and pick from. So how do we make sure that we're also always consistently picking the brand that we want? Well, one thing is a little bit going back to what we talked about. We are not buying products, we're buying outcomes. And if there's one thing I am conscious about, it's not wasting foods. Probably comes from the time when my parents always told me, think about the children in Africa, don't waste food, but it's very conscious. So I often end up looking at what I have in my fridge, what can I do with that? And when I do that, I search for inspiration. And when I search for inspiration, I go to net and I Google it. So this is something that, for example, Arla, one of the largest producers, or maybe the largest producers in the Nordic of dairy products, has been picking up. People might not Google, milk, or they might not care about the products, but they definitely care about the outcomes of that products. And the outcome is, there's a lot of the parts of that product, which is a meal that we're buying, that is also included in what actually Arla is selling. So they've been focusing a lot about that, customer journey in like when people are looking for something to buy, we should be there to inspire them. So you'll probably by yourself also ended up several times in Arla's page when you're looking for inspiration. So when actually searching for things that is not just about, so pasta is not something that they're selling maybe, or not sun-dried tomatoes, but they're making sure that they are the face of inspiration for you. Not only inspiration, they're also showing you exactly how to cook, what's in it, what's in that recipe, and also like for me that might be counting calories and things like that as well, to making sure that I have everything, despite that they're actually only having a small portion of that, of those products that they're actually selling. Another thing is that they're definitely looking at, providing you with inspiration. So even though you're searching for something, everything that is looking similar or something that they would see that they recommend is something that they put up on that site to create that good experience. And as you see in the bottom, you have the Karina's Kök, which is actually also trying to provide you with inspiration to buy for 4 days for 4 people. So like there's a one-stop shop solution. But maybe one thing that is the most interesting part with that is that, of course, you can get inspiration going online, searching for recipes, and you might be writing that up and you going to the store. But they're also providing you the opportunity to buy directly. So they connect this to commerce, and they connect this to the retailers that they are actually working with. In this case, for example, Coop and Rema 1000, etc. So instead of actually having to go to the store, they make an integration, which means that they can actually, have something that's called click and cook. So here's a seamless way that you more or less don't even see, in which you're going from the inspiration part of your research journey, looking for good food, or looking for healthy food, or just food that you have in your kitchen, to actually buying those products. And what you're also going to probably see is, if you're looking at what sun-dried tomatoes Coop is providing you, they're providing their sun-dried tomatoes in this as well. But the most important thing for all is, of course, that when you're buying that butter or that milk or that cream for the cooking, they make sure that that ends up in your basket, that will end up in your kitchen. So this is a super smooth way of making sure that even though you're having a direct communication with the manufacturer, that you're also floating that into the retailer, in which you're actually going from research to transaction in 2 different channels. So just looking back a little bit, what they've been doing is that they've been a one-stop shop solution for all your inspiration when it comes to food. They want for you to come to them when you're looking for food. They're personalizing everything that you're searching for as well, using personalized landing pages to make sure that everything is relevant for you. They're adding that into a connecting way to make you be able to buy, and not buy from one supplier. You can pick and choose from the suppliers that you want to. And also, depending on where you are in Denmark in this case, what suppliers would you do? They even compare the prices, which means that you have full flexibility of picking any of the vendors. But what ends up in the last place as well, like we talked about, is whatever way you're choosing to have that delivery is that they make sure that you're actually using their products in the products that you're buying. So even though we're talking about, it's all about the outcomes, it starts with the product. And it used to be a digital product that we were looking at in the store, a physical product. But we now also have a digital product. And that product means that it speaks about, is this an eco-friendly brand? How well is this with allergens? What's exactly in this product? What kind of shipment can we have? So I mean, like, if you would like to buy a 3-liter gallon of milk, that would probably not be suitable for e-commerce. But there's a lot of things in every product that is telling that story, that is actually a part of that outcome, which could be a meal in the end. So the changes in digital is more now that consumers are interacting directly with the manufacturers in ways that they were not used to before. But they're also communicating directly with the retailers that they're usually buying from. So from a manufacturing point of view, it's becoming more and more important to make sure that that experience is consistent. So if they're researching in your channel but buying in another channel, it needs to be coherent. And how do you actually make sure that all the information that you're presenting towards the consumer is also the right to the retailers that you sell to? Well, that's with all the rules and regulations as well that comes with it. That's something that I will now introduce you to Søren, who's going to talk a little bit more about GS1 and how manufacturers are making sure that you have a consistent product experience to all the retailers that you're selling to in all the countries that you're in as well. Welcome, Søren.
Thank you, Martin. Next slide, please. My name is Søren, and I'm a partner in FMCG Solutions. I would like to give you an introduction to our GS1 integration module called FMCG Products Integrator, enabling you to synchronize product data via inRiver to GS1 all over the world, and to Trade Solution Norway and Dabas in Sweden. Next slide, please. We are founded in 2013. We are owned by 4 partners, and we are 6 employees in total. We have a 100% focus on FMCG manufacturers, wholesalers, and distributors. We offer 3 products: FMCG Products Integrator, which I will give you a short introduction today, FMCG Recipes, and FMCG Suppliers. FMCG Recipes and Suppliers were actually the first system we started to develop for one of Orkla's companies in 2010, and that gave us some basic knowledge about food production. FMCG Recipes is the system where you manage your raw materials and ingredients for your products, and FMCG Suppliers is a supplier portal enabling you to share the responsibility to ensure correct raw and ingredient data with your supplier, and then to be reused in the recipe system. And then finally, Orkla asked us to send data to GS1 in 2013. And of course, no problem, we said, and that was actually the start of FMCG Products Integrator and FMCG Solution. And now, after 8 years of experience, we have a direct connection to GS1 Denmark, TradeSync, GS1 Sweden, Valido, GS1 Finland, Synca, Netherlands, DAS, GS1 Germany, Atrify, to Dabas in Sweden, and finally to Trade Solution in Norway. Trade Solution adopted a non-GDSN data pool with different data foundation, but you don't have to worry about the different data pools. All the work is done in inRiver, and you could say we are the hidden machine room ensuring the data will reach your customers. Next slide, please. Thank you. So actually, GS1 invented the GDSN network in 2004, also called the Global Data Synchronization Network. And that networks makes it possible for even the smallest producer to reach the world and to deliver correct product data to your customer. So the GS1 network handles more than 35 million product units gauging. It's the world's largest product database with 43 data pool operators, including GS1 as the largest player with representation in many countries. And in Scandinavia, GS1 and Trade Solution is your data partner, you could say. We have more than 59,000 producers and wholesalers and more than 2,000 data recipients connected to the network. So overall, we are dealing with a common data pool which covers more than 150 countries based on the same foundation. That's a fantastic opportunity for us to transmit our data to our customers. So that's standard means that we use the same keywords, we use the same and the data pool operators can simply create their own country-specific application to handle the product data. And then the key to synchronization between the data pool is the XML foundation. So there is a common way to transmit the product data between the countries. And I will say it again, you don't have to worry about all this XML stuff. It is taking place in FMCG Products Integrator. So you could say keywords is one foundation for language management, measurements, nutrients, allergens, etc. And text fields is always combined with a language code. It's a great standard. Next, please. So you have the screaming guy. That was me in 2013, because it's no secret that when Orkla asked us to build that integration, we said to Orkla, that's a piece of cake, but we got a little bit wiser when we dived into the details, hierarchies, mandatory fields, global mandatory fields, optional, trading partner, blah, blah, blah. But all this stuff you don't have to worry about. You are always working in inRiver. You create the product units in inRiver and we take care of the rest. Next slide, please. And how does it actually work? You could say it's a two-way integration between inRiver and FMCG products. We validate the product hierarchies, meaning that we have a repository containing the rules for GDSN, GS1, for Trade Solution. So if you, for example, are creating a new product in inRiver for the Swedish market, you will get an accept OK from FMCG Products Integrator. You can distribute this hierarchy, and then after you try to send the same product to Trade Solution Norway, but then you are prompted to enter some extra fields because we have some specific country rules in Norway, and there's a new mandatory field. So this flow of data from inRiver and FMCG products integrator is managed by our depository containing all the specialities in each country and at each data receiver. Next slide, please. So if we should look a little bit more detailed how it works on the GS1 network, inRiver passes the data to FMCG products integrator. We send the data to the local data pool, and in order to find out who should receive this data, GS1 operates a global registry which returns the address for the receiver's data pool. So that's a way we can reach out to the world, an address from the global registry, and then the local data pool can route the data to the receiver's data pool. And if you can see the number 5 here, all the way through this process, we meet the rules, we meet the local country rules, then we meet the local rules in the receiving country, and then finally we reach what we call trading partner dependency rules. And all these status messages and the flow in the GDSN work, we return back to inRiver. So you have a dialogue with FMCG products integrator informing you the status of the transmission. So what can happen, for example, we can send product hierarchy to 10 data receivers at once from inRiver. We will receive 9 accepts, but the 10th data receiver, that could, for example, be ICA in Sweden, who has a special rule regarding the pallet height, max 1500 millimeters. And then you can correct that and we can do a resend. But generally, our mission is to contain all the rules and all the special things in FMCG products integrator. So when inRiver asks, you could say, FMCG products integrator to send a product, we are looking in our repository based on our experience, and then we are learning by doing, because we have no idea of the rules in a specific country. If we are going to send a product to Turkey for the first time, we have to learn by doing, but we are in, what could I say, all the local rules and all the rules in the specific country. We are very well done there, 99%, but we will always learning by doing in case of a new data receiver we have never handled before. So that was a very, very short introduction to the machine room. But as I told in the beginning, you don't have to worry about all the technical stuff. We love the technical stuff. You do your work in inRiver, and we take care of GS1, Trade Solution, and DABAS.
All right. Thank you very much, Søren. This is now Peter Norlander from Diamir Consulting speaking. Please move to the next slide. So we have now listened to some very great insights regarding 2 of the major channels that the FMCG industry talks about: the web and e-commerce that faces your consumers, and GS1 facing your customers. Providing just these 2 with updated content requires a lot of effort. And then in reality, there is also other places that requires product content, such as product sheets, labels, reports, BCDs, and also customers outside of GS1. So we have a lot of consumers of information. And all this information that is required is often, in my experience, a bit unorganized and scattered really throughout the organization. One example is, for example, that a lot of organizations are working directly against the GS1 country entering a lot of information about their own products into a system they don't themselves own or have control over, making it very hard to actually reuse the information in any other channels or in other GS1 countries. And as you know, it is a lot of different information that is required, ranging from logistics, sales, and marketing to images. Therefore, it's very time consuming to keep all of these systems updated because it's manual work everywhere. Next slide, please. So how we do this is we solve this by simply gathering all the article information in one system, inRiver PIM, creating one source of truth. Then we can simply choose to deliver the correct content to the right channel. The web to the right, see here, that Morten talked about, wants maybe the marketing texts, while GS1 to the left, that Søren talked about, wants logistics information. And then, of course, both of them wants allergens and so forth. So you can simply distribute the information, and we're working it within one place. Next slide, please. So in PIM, you simply work with a product. The product can then be enabled for one or more output channels, as well as for one or more markets. So enabling working within one market and enabling the product to be in another market, you can then simply reuse all the work that has previously been done on the product to be also reused for the new market. So then you only need to focus on what is required for this additional market. The web may require you to only localize the descriptions, while GS1 requires some new fields to be filled in. This and much, much more enables a much faster time to market. And in PIM, you also manage product-related media and images, and also something that I know is very well liked is that we have a complete field history for all fields, allowing you to check what changes have been made by whom and when. Next slide, please. So we at Diamir have developed a prepared package for the FMCG industry that consists of several parts. It has a GS1 prepared marketing model for inRiver, which has the basic GS1 fields and our approach to solving this puzzle. This is then, of course, extended and modified to solve your specific needs. For each product you get, for each product you have in inRiver, you get the GS1 status and the feedback that you then can be searchable and relevant, that then can be searchable by the relevant personnel, allowing you to follow up what needs to be done. You also get feedback from automatic GS1 validation rules that Søren talked about. These ones are market specific and are visible directly inside PIM. So viewing a product, you directly see if you need to take care of any feedback received. And viewing a product also allows you to see the product hierarchy to see how any of the different logistic units are used. And last, but definitely not least, to get you working in PIM as fast as possible, we have capabilities to import existing information from the different GS1 pools into PIM, allowing you to continue working from what you did yesterday. This can also be utilized to bringing in new markets or brands into PIM. And now Denny will shed some more light in how the products are actually published to the web and e-commerce.
Thank you, Peter. My name is Denny and I work at Diamir together with Peter. And now we looked at the GS1 challenge and how we solve that and sending combined product data directly to your customer. Now, once the information is up to date in PIM, it's time to publish the products to your different other channels. It could be anything from a single website to a multi-site with both CMS and e-commerce, like the DXP from Episerver, for instance. We do this in the plan and release application from inRiver, where we completely control the product visibility in the different channels. This means that we have full management of multi-channels and multi-site directly from PIM. So each channel in PIM has its own rules and connectivity to the outer world, where the products will then be displayed. We're building unique assortments for each channel directly in this plan and release application. So this could be a brand-specific site or a market or language-specific site or other campaign sites and so on. And from this application, we also can create categories and landing page for your product, brands or sub-brands. That ensures good SEO and searchability from Google. And we can also create both traditional ones based on a category structure like coffee or specific product categories. But it can of course be others as well based on specific ingredients, certificates and so on. Everything to make it easier for your consumers to find the information on your websites. And in this application and working with the product in inRiver PIM, we can set up automatically publishing rules. This means that a product can be automatically published to a website or to an e-commerce on a specific date or when a specific criteria is met. So you don't need to stay up late to publish a product on a launch date. You can plan your publications ahead and make sure that they're live on the website on the actual go live date. And we recommend that PIM should be the master for distributing all product information to your digital channels. It will save you time. It will create a better experience, both for you and as well for your viewers and your visitors to your website and in finding the enriched content that you really want them to find. So this is basically how we work with distributing product information from PIM, both to what Morten described, the Episerver and the digital channels in terms of sales and marketing, but also to FMCG in terms of technical and logistical field that is required. So next slide, please. So now we have presented the importance of correct product information, both in your marketing channels, the web and e-commerce, but also in terms of GS1 and sending article information to your customers. With inRiver PIM as your product information master and in combination with FMCG and Episerver, this can all be accomplished. This will ease the way of working in many aspects, shorten the time to market, and ensure high quality product information in every digital channel. And we're a bit early, but now we do have time for some questions, I guess. Thank you.
Wow, thank you. This was a very interesting webinar. I mean, so much information in such a short time. And as I mentioned before, you will have this webinar sent to you as a recording after this webinar. As mentioned in the beginning, you had the opportunity to send in some questions, which a few have actually done. And I would like to start to address Morten. You spoke in the beginning about the information in the Arla website. How do you actually make sure that all information is consistent across channels?
It's a very good question, and it's a typical question that we get more and more often nowadays, because I mean, web is for a lot of companies still the dominant channel. But with digital becoming more and more important, we see that more and more channels, both the physical, but especially the digital channels and the devices that we're using, becoming more important. So just managing content is a pain in one channel. But since for a long time ago, we actually at Episerver separated the content from the delivery. A lot of people hear about headless solution. And what that means is that you can actually manage, like with PIM, you can manage your sales and marketing content in one repository, but you can then deliver it in all the channels that you want, and that will more or less own that experience as well. So we more or less also have been walking the same path as the PIM has been doing for product information, but for sales and marketing. So definitely most of our customers now are building their new sites or their new digital channels in a more of a headless, composable way of using microservices.
Great, thank you, Morten. Another question that came, I think this is for Søren and the guys on FMCG Solutions. The question is composed as follows. We have customers in several countries that need to use our product data. Can we send GS1 product data to them?
Yes, indeed. It depends a little bit of the customer's GLN strategic, could I say, because some customers use one GLN and we deliver all the data to the customer's local data pool. Other customers have several GLNs, sometimes historical reasons, and then we connect directly to the actual data pool. And that's the reason why we have 8 connections today. But thanks to the GDSN standard, it's easy for us to connect to a new country if we need it, because we have the underlying XML structure, great standard. So it's easy for us to make a new connection to a new data pool. No problem.
Great. Another question came in, and I think it's either for Denny or Peter. The question was, can you actually save recipes in the PIM system and connect that to the product?
Should you go, Peter?
Yeah. We actually have several customers that does this. Where the recipes didn't have a good storage information. So PIM can save products and media and other things, but we can create, we can save whatever we choose here. So we can save recipes and then connect it directly to the products that we want to be displayed at the same time, allowing us to send both the products and also the recipes to the consumers, for example, the websites and e-commerce. So you have the possibility to buy directly from the recipes to the web, in the web.
Thank you, Peter. Another question that came in as well is, hi, I saw that you could do publications with PIM. We would like to generate a product sheet directly from the PIM. Is that possible? Peter?
Yes.
Or Denny?
Yeah, it's absolutely possible. And that's something that we do quite a lot for our customers, both in terms of sales and marketing, PDFs, translatable, of course, to the correct country with the relevant product information. But we can, of course, do different versions like technical and BCD sheets and combine data sheets and so on. So as long as we have all the information gathered in one place, it's very simple for us to show it in different formats and ways.
And a follow-up question from my side here, is that also from an InDesign perspective? So you can do like proper publications in that sense as well, utilizing that same product data, making it smart.
Yeah, inRiver has a connector to InDesign called inRiver Print, where you actually, which you can utilize to bring the live product data directly into a template in InDesign, and not only receiving the actual product data, but work in an ordinary InDesign way of creating magic and beautiful publications.
Great, thank you. That was the questions that I had so far. And let me see, I see a new one coming in here. Yes, one question here as well. Is that possible to have a cost prices, both raw materials and the actual final product in PIM. So we're talking about prices here in PIM. Danny, can you evolve a little bit on that one?
Yeah, PIM is a product information system and can store all the information that is relevant for a product. And the focus is basically the sales and marketing information. inRiver PIM is not a transactional system. So when we're talking about prices and availability in stock and so on, there are several ERP systems that handle this in a way better procedure than the inRiver PIM system. But if we have kind of fixed price and we have kind of a recommended price that is kind of static, it's of course something that we can store in PIM, and we do for a lot of our customers as well. And also, yes, in terms of raw materials and the definition, we have several customers that actually is doing the R&D process in PIM. So we include different parts of products that never may end up in the market. So they work on products and testing them and keeping the information in one system. And when it's approved, we start communicating it to both maybe the ERP system, but as well as the GS1 world. So we start the enrichment process in an early R&D stage and then enrich it more and more as we decide to keep this product. And yes, we do have possibility, and we do that. We store the raw materials as well. Again, there could be systems that does this in a better way, and that is an entire complete process that is potentially an iterative process. We store, in some cases, we store the end result in terms of the raw material, but the iterative process of taking or producing a new recipe, I would also say that there could be better systems for that purpose.
That was a very long answer. So let me conclude this. Do you, if just to make the audience understand this, the answer is yes, you can save prices. The answer is also built upon the specific usage, but the recommendation is to keep them separate. Is that correct?
Most of the time, I would say yes.
Yeah. Great. Thank you, Danny. That was the final questions that I have received here. So I would like to conclude this and thanking the participants. I would like to thank the keynote speakers here in the webinar, Morten, Danny, Peter, Sören. And of course, we will send this out to you. If you would like to reach out to us, you are more than welcome. But you will have the recording very shortly. So with this said, I would like to thank you and say have a fantastic day. Take care and see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.